Hello everyone. Previously we have seen different probabilities and now we are going to get in detail about various probability distributions. Now before we learn that we have to understand what is random variable. So let us see. Random variable, a random variable is determined, a variable whose value is determined by the outcome of a random experiment is called random variable. So now for example, if I toss a coin, that is a random experiment. So if I get a value, the probability of getting a head is equals to 1 by 2. So 1 out of 2 outcomes. So 1 by 2 is going to be the value of that probability. So that value, if we are taking that value mm for the if I'm taking that particular event as my variable, so that is going to be the value of my variable. So that is the random variable. That is an example for random variable. So why do we call it random variable? Because it could the distribution could take um a random pattern, or it can be an uncertain frequency. We cannot know what outcome we are going to get out of a experiment or a event. That is why it is called a random variable. It is also called as a chance variable or a stochastic, nothing but a variable which is taking a uncertain pattern, or which is using probability to determine. So that is stochastic variable. So a random variable may be discrete or continuous. If a random variable takes integer values like 1, 2, 3 and so on, it is called discrete random variable. Now the numbers, the variables or the values which can be counted. Now for example, I say number of printing mistakes in a book, that can be counted. So we call it as an example for discrete data. Now if I say number of days in a week, number of days in a month, number of accidents in a particular area, population of a particular region, or number of students in a college, like that, the values which can be counted. Okay, they can be infinite values. I mean, they have to be finite number of values in order to find the value for discrete random variable. But examples are the data which is countable, which can be counted. That is that data can be considered for discrete random variable. And the data which is measured, now for example, height, weight can be measured. Now height and weight takes a values in terms of interval. They take decimal values, like for example 5.2, 4.3. Height can be 5.3 inches, 4.2 inches, anything between 0 to 6 or 0 to 7. In a given range, it can take decimal values or fractional values. Weight can be 55.5, 40.5, like that. So if we are taking a value within a given range or interval, that means the values are continuous. We are not taking integers. We are not taking whole numbers. We are taking continuous data. We are taking the value in a range. So that is called continuous random variable. So the continuous data measured. So that data is, if a variable is using this kind of data, we call it continuous random variable. If a variable is using discrete data, then we call it as discrete random variable. Okay, and the function p of x is called probability function or frequency function of x. Now x is the random variable. X can be a continuous random variable or it can be a discrete random variable. Okay, if x is a discrete random variable, then the probability function is called probability mass function. If x is a continuous random variable, then the probability function p of x is called probability density function. Remember these two things, these are very important. If x takes a discrete data, if x is a discrete data, the value what you get is a discrete data, then you call it as a probability mass function. If we are using continuous data to find an answer to a particular question, or to predict something, to find probability of something, then you call that as probability density function. Now why do we call it probability mass function? Why do we call it probability density function is, here we use different methods of calculating mass function, and we have different methods of calculating density function. They have different features. Here the data is countable, here it is continuous. So like that, there are certain differences among these two functions in mathematics. That is why they are named differently. Now uh, binomial and Poisson distribution, there are other distributions also, like we have multinomial distribution or hypergeometric distributions. All these distributions come under discrete probability distributions, and that means the binomial and Poisson distributions will consider discrete data. That is why we use discrete probability to find the solutions to binomial and Poisson distributions. Okay, and these distributions are also can also be called as discrete probability distributions. And the normal distribution, is continuous probability distribution. Okay, next let us see binomial distribution. Binomial distribution is also known as Bernoulli distribution, because it was given by a person named James Bernoulli. Hence it is also called binomial distribution. Bi means two, right? So why do we call it as binomial distribution? Because it has dichotomous alternatives. Dichotomous means two. It can either take success or failure. There is no other value, there is no other outcome. The outcome should either be expressed in terms of success and failure only. We cannot have multiple outcomes. Then in order to consider this particular in order to find the probability with the help of binomial distribution, we have to consider these four assumptions. The first one is, an experiment must be performed under same conditions for a fixed number of trials. So n should be fixed. We cannot have n is equals to infinity. No way. If that is the case, then we cannot solve the problem. So whatever uh, conditions one trial is performed, all other trials, all the n trials should be considered for the under the same conditions. Now second assumption, in each trial there are only two possible outcomes. Okay, one is success, other one is failure. Okay, so the total sample space or the exhaustive events in this experiment is going to be only two, that is success and failure. Okay, then coming to the third assumption, probability of success is denoted by p, and it remains constant from trial to trial. For every trial, the value of p is going to be constant. Now for example, if I'm solving a problem, okay, using binomial distribution, if I calculate the value of p once and it is equals to 0.5, we are going to have p is equals to 0.5 for all the values of n. Even if n is equals to 1, 2, 3, whatever is the value of n, for all these values of n, p is going to be same. And from the p value, p is probability of success, then q is probability of failure. Okay, and q is equals to 1 minus p. So from this, what can we write? P plus q is equals to 1, right? If you remember, we have seen the total probability is equals to 1. So probability of success plus probability of failure should be equal to 1. From this, we can write p is equals to q minus 1, or q is equals to 1 minus p, whatever it is. Okay, then that is the third assumption. Coming back to the fourth assumption, the trials are statistically independent. Now let us see this example here. Uh, for example, if 5 balls are drawn at random from an urn is nothing but a bag containing 10 white, 20 red balls. 10 plus 20 is equals to 30, right? The total number of balls is equals to 30. So what are they asking? They are asking us to draw 5 balls at random. So what is the probability of drawing 5? Okay, let us not talk about probability now. We'll just see. What is the probability of success? What is success here? Success is picking up 5 balls. Okay. So if I pick 5 balls out of 30 balls, I means that is a success. If I'm not picking up 5 balls, that means there's a failure. Okay. Now if I pick 5 balls and I'm not replacing the balls, then that means we are creating a problem here, no? If you see, the first one is the condition must be same. So when I'm picking up the first ball, when I'm picking up the first set of 5 balls, and if I'm not replacing them, the number of balls in the bag are reducing to 25. Okay, so that means I'm not keeping the assumption constant. So in order to keep that, I have to do it with uh, replacement. Okay, so every time if I'm taking out the balls and keeping them aside, the probability of selecting the next 5 balls will change. So we should not change the probability of success, and we should not change the probability of failure. Okay, and in the first turn, if I'm picking out 5 balls from out of 30 balls, then in the next event, when I'm picking up 5 balls out of the remaining 25 balls, these are becoming dependent events, right? So in order to uh, uh, so we are not supposed to change the conditions of the event. So these events should be independent. Okay, in the same trial, the outcome of one event and the other event should be independent of one another. So the outcomes of this trial and the other trial in the sequence should be independent. They should not affect one another. Subsequent outcomes should not be affected. Okay, these are the 4 assumptions that we should follow when we are solving binomial problems. And the formula for binomial distribution is P of r is equals to NCR, Q to the power of n minus r, and P to the power of r. Okay, now if I want to write it in terms of x, in terms of a random variable, how can I write it? P of x is equals to NCX, P to the power of x, Q to the power of n minus x. Same thing, in place of r, I have changed the variable to x. Okay, and one more important P is the probability of success in a trial. P is the this P, small p, is the probability of success. Q is the probability of failure. If we know probability of success, if it is 1 by 2, that is 0.5, then we will know Q is 1 minus 0.5, that is 0.5. Or if P is equals to 0.9, Q is equals to 1 minus 0.9, which is equals to 0.1. Okay, so the total probability should be equal to 1. So that way you can remember, if you get one value, it should be easy for you to calculate the probability of failure. Next, these two things are the number of n is the number of trials. If they are conducting n 5 trials, n is equals to 5, then you have to write it for, you have to take a summation of all these things and calculate the value. When we solve the problems, you can understand what you will see how we can solve the problems. Then r x, the number of successes, is n trials. Here we have changed, in this formula we have changed r is equals to x, and this x can only take integer values, that is, it can take whole numbers, it cannot take decimal values or fractional values. Okay, so this is an important point to remember. So remember this particular formula, very important. And I will also share a PDF with this random variable video. Please let me know if there are any doubts on the group. Thank you.